had no more coal for the fire, and I had a bill of 2,400, and I was like fretting about it, worried about it. I had no experience, no connections, no money. I definitely had nothing.
Samantha Kelly went from being a lone parent on social welfare to TEDx and Dragon's Den. Now she reveals what kept her going.
What sort of conversations did you have with yourself?
Belief. I had to believe. And here I was going on stage with Gary Vaynerchuk, so I was like getting ready for that. I walked into his office and just burst into tears, right? I did it. I tried it. I sold it. And I'm 18 years sober.
So did sobriety come before or after you decided that you wanted to start a business?
If I wasn't in sobriety, I wouldn't have been able to start a business. I wouldn't have been able to do any of that. I was told to get off my high horse, and who did I think I was? By somebody, and I cried for 3 days. Don't take criticism from someone you would never go to for advice. You have to be a little bit mad to be an entrepreneur. You do.
Yes.
But you're not alone, definitely. If you're watching this and you feel like you're ready to do something, do it. Try it. The worst that can happen is that it doesn't work. But then if you don't try, you'll never know.
Welcome back. My guest today is Samantha Kelly, an Irish entrepreneur, speaker, and personal branding expert who helps executives and business leaders show up online with confidence and authority. Samantha built her first business from scratch as a lone parent on social welfare with no money, no connections, and no experience. That business led to Dragon's Den. Dragon's Den led to Twitter. Twitter led to TEDx, and eventually to becoming one of Ireland's most recognised voices on LinkedIn. But what I really wanted to sit down and talk to her about wasn't the success. It was about everything that came before. This is a conversation about resilience, about building something from nothing, and the importance of building your network. If you enjoy these conversations, a subscribe, comment, like, and share would be hugely appreciated. Now here's my conversation with Samantha Kelly. How I first was introduced to you, I watched your TED Talk. And I actually listened to it again. I watched it again when I was traveling on the way over, and it made me tear up a little bit.
Oh, stop. I cried after that. I did. Yeah. The TEDx. It was a TEDx in Oma, of all places, Oma. And how that happened was, you know, I was around a while at that stage, but how that happened was I was speaking at a different event. And there was a guy in the audience who was organising the TEDx in Oma. So I didn't even have to apply. He just asked me, would I speak at it?
Wow, okay.
So it just shows you don't know who is in the audience when you're speaking at a conference. You just don't know who's in the audience.
So that just kind of came about like happenstance.
Yeah, look, everything in business is a bit of luck. A bit of serendipity, a bit of kindness, chance, all of that stuff. But it all boils down to, you know, if you're not putting the work in, you're not suiting up and showing up, nothing's going to happen. My journey started, like, I wasn't even in business. I never went to college or anything. And I was a lone parent on social welfare. So this is how it all started. So I was a lone parent on social welfare. My daughter came to the awkward milestone of her first period, which is a bit of a taboo topic, right? But what happened was I felt sorry for her. So I went to the shop to get some kind of starter set or gift box. And there was none. There were no starter sets. And I thought, that's a bit weird. And my marriage had just ended. My other daughter was about to start mainstream school. She has, she's hard of hearing. She has 2 hearing aids. So she was about to start school. And my father had just passed away as well. So I had all these things, and I was hitting 40. So all these things were kind of lined up. So what happened was I said, sure, I'll start a business. I had no experience, no connections, no money. I definitely had nothing. And I just decided, though, that there and then that I would start a business, and I called it Funky Goddess, and it was gift box for a girl's first period. And I learned so much from starting a business with no experience, because the internet was only kind of newish, and like it was about 14 years ago, and Twitter was really popular at the time. So my sister put me on Twitter, and I just started using Twitter to connect with other people like me, to build relationships. And I just started talking to people. at nighttime when I was in my pajamas, the girls were asleep, I just started talking to people. So that's kind of where it all started. But the TEDx, like, because I had that taboo topic, like I remember sending an email to BBC Woman's Hour and saying, is this the last taboo? And they had me on the air the next day. So I had a way of, you know, causing a bit of drama with the title or whatever to get, and I started getting media attention. And because I'm not shy, obviously, I was well able for the media attention, but it was amazing what I learned, though. I learned that actually my biggest customers weren't women, weren't moms, it was dads. So dads needed my product. So you just learn so much when you start a business. And I didn't know anything. I didn't know how to do a sale. I was quite good with people, so that was an advantage. But really then, I was on Dragon's Den, the Irish version of Dragon's Den. So anyone who's watching doesn't know, it's like Shark Tank. It's similar. And I was on that, and that kind of propelled me into the spotlight, because I thought, when I was getting my makeup done by the makeup girl for the TV, it's a TV show, a butterfly landed on the makeup girl's light, and myself and my dad used to watch Dragon's Den, and we'd be commenting on the great inventions and stuff. And and the girl goes, "My God, why is there a butterfly here in January?" And I said, "That's my dad." So when I went up to the dragons, I kind of broke down, and I'm the girl who cried in Dragon's Den. So I kind of became known as the girl who cried in Dragon's Den. Well, the lady who cried in Dragon's Den. But what it did was it showed me the reaction on Twitter. I was really embarrassed about it, because I thought, oh, they're going to think I'm such an idiot crying on a TV show. But actually I got the opposite. I got empathy. Everyone knew someone they'd lost, and it was just lovely, the reaction, and Twitter exploded. And I mean, I've 70,000 followers on Twitter, which is now X. We'll talk about that later. But like, at the time, it made me realize that there are good people out there. There are people that do want to support you. And, the people that matter don't mind, like they just want you to succeed. And so it taught me a lot. But that's really where it started. But then I would share this story I got really, really good on Twitter. I wrote a book about it. I was probably one of the top Twitter experts out there. And then people started asking me to speak at conferences. So that's how I ended up speaking in Fermanagh. Right. And then he was in the audience at the time. So that's how I ended up doing that TEDx.
Wow. You've brought me through such a journey there in like a relatively short amount of time. It all stemmed from, you were going through a lot of adversity in your life. And you said you were taking your daughter, who's hard of hearing, she was about to start school. And you wanted to get some sanitary products for her that weren't...
No, that was my other daughter. Sorry, she got to that awkward milestone, and I just felt sorry for her. I wanted to just get her some kind of gift to welcome her to womanhood kind of thing. But the other daughter was about to start school. So what it meant was, I was like thinking about, well, what do I want to do now? I'll have this freedom. Do I get a job? What will I do? What am I good at? And I started thinking, well, what am I good at? But then the opportunity came when my daughter needed something. And I said, well, I can run this business myself. And I had no experience, nothing. And it kind of just went from there. But it was really my marketing that came. Like even Gavin, who was on the Dragon's Den, he said he saw from the start that social media was my place, that I was brilliant at it. And I just took to it. And so I had no idea I was going to end up doing social media. So when I sold the first business, which was called Funky Goddess, I was asked by a local hotel here in Wexford, actually, to help them with their Twitter, because they didn't really know how to use it. And I said, yeah, sure. So I went up, and they were like, oh God, will you just do it for us? Because, we haven't got the time, we haven't got the manpower. And I was like, okay. And that's when I realized I had another business. So I started Tweeting Goddess. So that's where my brand came to, Tweeting Goddess. So this was a brand that I have built from scratch, and it was really, really like, my digital footprint is huge when it comes to Tweeting Goddess. So it was just that people wanted Tweeting Goddess. My name is Samantha Kelly, but they wanted Tweeting Goddess. So it was just a kind of a personal brand that I built from nothing. So really that's where it all kind of started. And the TEDx helped. People started asking me to speak at conferences and tell my story, because it is a nice story, having nothing, lone parents, social welfare, and then building up to successful, which is lovely.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Like, because there was a lot of things and variables in your life back then that you could have easily just gone the other way and kind of given up and sort of moped. But there was just that little pivot of everything kind of came together. You were trying to get a gift for your younger daughter, and you saw that there was a gap in the market. But a lot of people at that point, because you're going through all of this, they mightn't even think, they're like, I have no time to be thinking about starting a business.
Well, I think my father in heaven actually gave me the idea, because he was a bit of an entrepreneur himself. So I think he was there in the supermarket that day and he went, sure, try it.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I'll try it.
Yeah.
And I really don't know. Probably grief drove me as well. Like, losing my dad was a huge thing to me. And I think grief, when you put yourself into such a big project as starting a business, it kind of helps your grief, you know.
Sure.
So I kind of poured all my energy into that instead. So I will admit, probably that was a little piece of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you think, I guess, because if you're staying busy, you're kind of staying distracted?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Right. Okay. So there's that kind of psychological aspect to say, if I'm really busy, you know, my father's not going to come up as much, you know, my breakdown of the marriage and everything else that might have been kind of on the back of your mind.
Yeah, I was too busy.
Right. Okay. And that's the thing is, people say it can be toxic to try and just completely avoid all of this stuff. But if you channel it the right way and just keep pushing on, you kind of get beyond that. You never fully get over grief. It always comes, but you get beyond that valley of sorrow where you can just give up.
Yeah. Oh, look, I've been there as well. I mean, I'm 18 years sober. So, I mean, at the time, I think I was 5 years sober when I actually started the business. So, you know, it's been part of my journey. Yeah. You know, if I wasn't in sobriety, for me, sobriety, like, I mean, I wasn't drinking every day. I wasn't, you know, going out all the time or anything. But I knew that if I had one drink, anything could happen. Or, you know, I could say to you, look, I'll meet you at the mountain. We'll go on a hike tomorrow. But then I won't turn up if I've gone out drinking, you know. And a lot of it was like at home as well, loneliness. It was like my best friend. I found solace in it. Because especially being a lone parent, you know, is kind of a lonely thing. Yep. But then I realized, hang on, there has to be more to life than this. So once I did that, and then that, like, I wouldn't have been able to start the business. I wouldn't have been able to do any of that if I had not been in sobriety. So it's very important that I point that out, because I think people sometimes, we don't realize, if we get rid of something that's holding us back, and it could be a person, it could be sugar, it could be nicotine, it could be anything like that. When we get rid of that thing that's holding us back, we can just do anything.
Yeah.
Anything. And I've seen it. I've seen it with my own eyes so many times. Like, we have such potential, especially when we get rid of what's holding us back, and we can do anything. If you can dream it, you can do it. I always say. And I don't know why I'm so driven, but I didn't want to be poor anymore.
Right.
And I wanted my daughters to have more opportunities than I had. So I don't know if I've gone off on a tangent.
No,
there,
that's the whole essence of this. Is going on tangents. It's great, because I don't like to pigeonhole people. So if you're going on a tangent, I won't pull you back, because that's where I guess the wisdom comes out, and the deep.
Well, that's how I ended up doing a TEDx. Yeah. And like, it is a big badge of honor doing a TEDx, but a lot of people have to apply to do one, you know, and I was lucky that I was just asked to do one. So, I mean, but then if I hadn't shown up and I hadn't gone to Fermanagh and spoken on that stage, it wouldn't have happened. Yeah. You know, you have to make things happen as well.
Sure. Yeah. You have to, and it's a bit of a snowball effect. It's like you do one thing and then you might meet this person, and it just keeps going. Connections,
relationships, building relationships is key. If you want to be successful in business, you need to build valuable relationships. And like even the phone numbers I have on my phone are people I never would have dreamt I'd have their phone number, you know? And it's like, the clients I have now are so different from the clients I had when I started, you know? I don't manage accounts anymore. I actually consult now. So I actually do consulting around LinkedIn strategy, LinkedIn pages. I help people who don't have the confidence, maybe, that are experts already in what they do, but they probably don't really have the confidence to post on LinkedIn, for example, or they feel like they might be bragging if they post on something good. But yet we want to hear from these leaders. There's amazing people out there, amazing leaders that are nearly hiding in the background. But we need to hear from them, because how are we going to know? Like, how are you going to know, for example, with this podcast? You probably were watching someone else with their podcast and it inspired you to do this podcast. So we can't be what you can't see, and I feel there's loads of leaders, especially female leaders, that I feel don't put themselves out there enough. That when I started my business, there was no female leader that I was kind of looking up to or I wanted to be like. It was actually men who helped me most. Okay. Funny enough. Right. Yeah, it was actually a lot of men like Tony Ennis, Bill Yao. There was a few people. But I know later on there was like people like, Nora Casey and Mary McKenna, Uno Hagen. Like, these are just names that are coming to me now. Sure. Nicola, like people, businesswomen that I would have admired and wouldn't think they'd give me the time of day. But it's the people who are most successful that will give you the time of day. Mm-hmm. If they have time.
Right. Because they've been through all of that and they have that empathy to say, I would have wanted, if I was 20 years back, I would have wanted the help from me. Yeah. So they're giving back kind of to the universe and to whatever. And
that's my purpose, is to be the woman I needed to meet when I started my business. Mm-hmm. That's kind of part of but like, I really love that. Like, my daughter is in college now. Mm-hmm. The girl that has the two hearing aids, like, she's in college studying medical technology and she wants to be an audiologist. Really? My other daughter has her own business, a beauty business. She does powder brows. She does all of that. Your girlfriend would love it all. But she does all that and she's excellent. She's one of the top people. And I have 2 grandchildren now as well. So I couldn't have any of that, I don't think, unless I put the work in, I suited up, showed up, building relationships. Like, all the people I have relationships with now, there's so many good people out there. Mm-hmm. Like, we only probably see the bad ones. Like people used to say on Twitter, for example, you get a lot of toxic people, but I used to just block them. I've no time in my life for that. Like, I really don't. Yeah. But I wish I'd learned that earlier. Because I would cry and I'd be worried about what people think of me and all of that. And no, not anymore. I don't care.
Yeah. Because that's what drives the algorithm as well, is people arguing. And it's that sort of social digital conflict that, drives engagement. But also we tend to listen to the critics and not listen to the people who actually compliment us.
I know, it's so funny. I could be speaking at a conference and think 99% of the people would say, oh my God, you were brilliant. And then 1%, just one person would be in my head. And I remember once it happened, there was a lady and she just had such a grumpy face on her in the audience. And I was like, oh my God, she hates me. And I remember going home, her in my head, thinking, oh my God, I wonder why she didn't like me. And then I got an email from her about how brilliant it inspired her and all that. And I was like, oh my God, it was just her resting face, obviously. I just took it totally wrong. Yeah. So sometimes we can make up stories in our own in our head, and but I've learned a lot, like, from being in business. And I know the now, like, Twitter was my place, and Twitter was where I was in demand all the time.
Right.
And then it changed to X.
Okay.
God. When Elon changed it to X, I just thought, okay, this might be okay. But then it just changed. Everything changed. Like, the people on it, people left. It's just horrible now. It's just not as effective, Yeah,
it was bought out with the aim of bringing back, free speech and untethering from censored speech and stuff. But I don't think.
Yeah, like, I met Jack Dorsey, who, like, I remember I met him years ago. Like, Twitter would have invited me into the head office and stuff. Right. Like, I was really a biggest brand advocate for them. Like,
in San Francisco?
No, in Dublin. Sorry,
okay.
I wish. No, I didn't get there. But like, meeting him, even, like, I really just, it's different. And I said, oh, what am I going to do? The phone stopped ringing, email stopped. I wasn't in demand anymore, because that's what I was teaching. I was teaching people how to use Twitter effectively for business. I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Now, I was already on LinkedIn. And so I said, okay, I'll just focus on LinkedIn a bit more and focus on what I actually did. Because you're so busy going, you forget to see, look what I did. Look what I actually achieved with nothing. I had nothing. And we forget sometimes to look back on what we've actually done. That's brilliant. And So I looked back and I said, actually, what I did was I built a brand from nothing, a personal brand from nothing. And so I decided that I would go in more into the personal branding on LinkedIn. And it took about a year because I was aiming for a certain client. You have to really know who your client is if you're going to start a business. Sure. It's the number one thing that people fall down on. Like the number one thing that you see it in Dragon's Den or Shark Tank is like, who are your target audience? Everybody. No, that's not possible.
Yeah, you're not going to, especially if you say that to the dragons, they're not going to be too impressed with that.
No, not going to be too impressed. So you really need to figure out who are the people that need me? Who are the people that I solve a problem for? So, so it's mostly people, executives and people who are already experts in their niche, but they just either haven't time to do LinkedIn or they just need a little bit of help. And that's what I do now. And I absolutely love it. It's taken about a year to really, like I could have just said, I'll manage accounts or whatever and got less money and all of that. But no, I decided to go for the top, as you do. I decided, no, I know enough now. I know I have enough recommendations. I have enough experience. I know this platform and I know I can make, when you start getting results and people start talking and then people talk. And then I remember Elaine from the Business Post, she contacted me to be featured in something about influencers. And then she put in the article, Samantha, who is now rebranded as a LinkedIn expert. And I'm like, I'm a LinkedIn expert, am I? I was like, oh my God, you just rebranded me. Like, thank you. So now I'm Samantha Kelly.media. But, you know, other people will tell you what you are and who you are and how, you know, so other people will actually, like if people start asking me to speak at things, I'm like, why do they want me to speak? Sure, I have nothing to share, but people see it. If you're sharing and you're consistently turning up and showing up and adding value, they want to hear more from you. Yeah.
It's that kind of imposter syndrome as well. It's if someone tells you, as we said, if someone tells you one bad thing, you latch onto that. But if 99 people tell you all these amazing things about you.
Yeah.
And I think it stems from kind of Irish culture as well. Everyone's self-deprecating.
Yeah.
And it's just about getting over that hump and being comfortable with saying, you know, I've achieved this, I'm good at this. Getting over that.
Own it. We have to own it. Yeah, exactly.
It's kind of that generational sort of trauma and shame. It could be from colonialism. It's, you know,
like kind of, who does she think she is? Kind of thing.
Yeah, notions.
Notions, yes. I have notions.
Yeah.
But you know what? I love seeing people like succeed. Like I'm watching a few younger people like Anya Kennedy, the smooth stick. I think your girlfriend would love that too, by the way, the smooth stick. So I was watching her and I just think she's amazing. Like, and I did a post saying, you know what, this girl, and I just did a post and she shared it and she was thrilled. See, sometimes it doesn't matter how successful you are. It's always nice to hear that you're doing okay. Like, that you're doing okay, like, and it's nice to get that bit of encouragement as well.
Yeah. So it's about getting over that sort of that shame of accepting compliments, accepting people seeing you and what you can provide, because every day we see ourselves in the mirror and you don't notice that kind of incremental improvement over time.
It's funny, I've learned so much even from clients though. Gina London is one of my clients and I remember she said, you know, when someone gives you a compliment, just say thank you. You know, I was like, oh yeah, it's that easy. Like Grace, you know, someone like she has so much grace. And I remember Regina Mangan called me smart. And I was like, oh, she thinks I'm smart. You know, and I was like, I was never called smart before. Yeah. So just little things like that you remember. And it's important that you remember that. And because I'm very driven and I'm nearly at the stage where I'm kind of where I want to be. There's a few other things I need to do, but I forget to look back and see how far I have come. Yeah. You know?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of us do that.
Yeah. Yeah, because we don't, as I said, if you're looking at yourself every day and what you're doing, you don't notice that big gap or that big amount
and all the hard work.
Yeah. So you just need to stop every so often and have a little bit of just appreciation and compare, you know, back to where you were. But it's just, as we said, Irish people it's very tough for us to just accept.
I don't think it's only Irish though, because I have clients, I don't know what it is, but yes, definitely more Irish. Definitely. I know that I was told to get off my high horse and who did I think I was by somebody and I cried for 3 days.
Yeah.
I cried, walked up and down the beach in Rosslare Harbour, and I was like, oh, am I on my high horse? And, I was actually doubting everything. And then I realized that person isn't actually someone that's ever going to buy my services or ever pay for my services.
No.
So I have this quote that I love. Don't take criticism from someone you would never go to for advice.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's great. It fits perfectly with everything.
Yeah. And it sounds simple, but it's something that I think once you break it down, you're like, okay, yeah, I don't know why I was getting so worked up about this.
I know.
This random person online or whatever. But we just really take that to heart, because then when you said you were walking up and down the beach and you were really upset, you're probably thinking, oh, I should just pack it all in.
Yeah. And it was one person.
Has found me out.
One
to
person.
be the imposter. Now I need to give it up.
Yeah.
And then you've probably had all these other people.
Actually, my husband said to me, why are you worried about what that person thinks? Why are you worried about that?
Yeah.
Like, he's not even going to ever be your customer, you know?
Yeah.
So.
And just to kind of circle back a little bit, you said you've been sober 18 years. So did that sobriety come around the time before or after you decided that you wanted to start a business and you wanted to change your...
Before. Okay. Yeah. Right. I wouldn't have been able to even make a decision to start a business if I wasn't,
Okay. I just wasn't sure. I thought maybe it lined up with saying, okay, I'm going to make a change here. I'm going to start a business, but I also need to stop.
No. Okay. I stopped first, and then it was about 4 or 5 years later, I think, when my father passed away. It was when my father passed away.
Right.
I think that was, and it's actually very common, because I used to have a women's network, and a lot of the people that started businesses had started as a result of a breakup, a divorce, a tragedy. It was like something that made them think, oh, life's too short. I need to do this now. And that's the way I was thinking. I was thinking, life is too short. Like, what have I done with my life? I need to do something here, make an impact. I wanted to make an impact.
Sure.
And it's very common in people that were in the network I created. A lot of them had some kind of tragedy or something that happened, and divorce is another one. Funny enough, a lot of people, they decide, okay, well, I'm free now. Maybe I can do what I want. Like,
so that was sort of the catalyst. The grief that you went through. You said, I just need to, because people can easily pivot and double down and continue the drinking and continue everything else when they lose someone. Because that was a challenge, yes. Yeah. But you see, I'm in a fellowship, and I had support. Okay,
I had support around me. So no, I didn't, and it was it was funny. There's loads of actually. There's no coincidence. I believe there are no coincidences. I believe everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
And I feel that me being strong and being sober for my family around that time was good. Like, I remember, the way they say, oh, you're going to read from the altar, or you're going to do a reading or whatever. I was like, guys, I can't do anything. I just need to focus on staying sober. And that's what Dad would have wanted.
Okay.
So I had to think, what's the most useful thing I can do here? It's be there for my family and just be strong and be able to be clear-headed. Whereas, I love the limelight. I would have loved to have been on the stage. Do you hear me? At the top of the church or whatever. But I didn't. And everyone was surprised that I didn't actually do that. Right. So I took no tasks at all. Okay.
So you're just like, the core responsibility of me now is to...
stay sober.
Right.
My primary purpose at that time was to do that. Yeah.
Okay. And then that obviously led to, as you said, if you hadn't been sober at that time or beyond, it wouldn't have led into you deciding that you wanted to start a business. It wouldn't have.
Yeah. Yeah. I probably wouldn't have believed that it was possible. I probably wouldn't have made the change with, things that were happening in my life in other ways. You make better decisions when you've got a clear head.
Yeah. And when people are in that, when they're in their vices and they don't really know how much change it could bring them if they do stop whatever it is that they're doing, they're like, it won't make much of a difference. I'm doing all right. But it's only when you're out of it and you look back in, you're like, wow, I've made a huge, much bigger change than I thought.
Well, it's funny. I don't want to do all right, you see.
Yeah.
I want to be better than all right. And everyone has the potential to do that.
Yeah.
It's amazing. There's so many good, and there's so many great young people out there that I've seen, And, you hear young people get a lot of bad press, I feel, and I just feel they've so much challenges with like COVID and the internet and all that stuff. And I just feel, oh my gosh, there's so many talented young people out there, like, and we need to be leading the way, like people my age, like I'm 54 now. Am I 54? 50? I don't know how old. I think I'm 54, right? But, we have to show that. I think I'm 55, actually. Sorry. But anyway, I forget. Anyway, but we need to lead the way and mentor these younger people coming up along, these younger women in particular, anyone in leadership. We need to be mentoring these people and helping them not make the mistakes we made with those bad old thoughts processes. For example, who does she think she is and all that kind of stuff. I mean, we have an opportunity here to lead the way and empower these younger people because they have so many skills that we don't have. And that's why most of my clients are actually my age. They're older because we didn't grow up with social media.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just the younger generation, it's intuitively just comes to them. Yeah,
they're great. They're great at the tech and and everything. Whereas I, like a lot of my clients, we didn't grow up with Facebook even. We didn't we had to go to a payphone. If I went away traveling, like you live in a different country, when I lived in Hong Kong, I had to write a letter or get a call card thing, to use in the phone box.
Yeah. So there was a big manual analog process.
There was none of this FaceTime.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And you said that the people that you work with generally are kind of around your sort of age group. And a lot of these people are very niche, very skilled people, but they just need help with bridging the gap in terms of putting themselves out there.
Yeah.
And there's probably a lot of people that we walk past on the streets that have so much to offer, but because they're kind of missing that little link.
And it could be just encouragement they need. Could be just a little bit of guidance. I mean, even in sobriety, you see a lot of people that maybe you think, oh gosh, they might have lost everything, but they start again. And then they do even better than they ever would have dreamed of, and I see it all the time and it's just lovely. I just like being useful. I like being a useful member of society. When I was drinking, I didn't feel like a useful member of society, and I like that feeling. And it's good that you're candid about the whole thing, because sometimes you get people they've succeeded in a certain area and they say, oh, you need to do this, you need to get up early, but they don't really go into too much of the struggles that they had before, or they're not too vulnerable about their struggles, like yourself with alcohol. I know you said that you weren't getting hammered every night or anything, but just when I took one though.
Exactly, yeah. And it's,
you know when you go to an event and they offer you wine, red or white wine, I wouldn't even bother taking one because I think there's no point. Whereas I wanted to drink lots. It's weird. I can't really explain it, but it's not everybody. It's just my head.
Well, it's kind of the elusive, we'll go for one.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as going for one. Yeah. That's just the way to rope someone in.
Yeah.
But you both telepathically know, look,
it's not going to be one.
It's not going to be one, but I'll come for the one, yeah.
And it's such a drinking culture here in Ireland, I think, as well. Like, I think when you go to different countries, you see it. I remember I was working in Hong Kong. I was a waitress. And I remember they sat over a pint of Guinness. 3 people sat over a pint of Guinness for like 3 hours. I couldn't understand it. I was like, what? Why are you not drinking it?
I know. And it's the same in Spain. They might get these small glasses of beer, not even a pint. And they'll just have maybe one in the afternoon or whatever. And then that's them done. But it's just, it's a different sort of culture.
Different type of culture. But
in Ireland.
I just hope that, people watching this even, if you feel like you would like to start a business, start it. And look, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. At least you tried. Do you know what I mean? I love seeing people trying, giving it a go. Like,
sure. Yeah, because then you don't want to be sitting a few years down the line with the what if. That would eat you up much more than kind of anything else. You'd much rather have started and fallen flat on your face than to just, and say, I gave it a go.
Well, a lot of us as well, to succeed, you have to take a lot of knocks as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had loads of knocks. I've had the people, the begrudgers. I've had the people saying things about me. I've had, not getting clients and someone else getting a client that I knew I should have got. And, all those kind of things. And then maybe not maybe I remember I went to an event once and the person who hired me were outside and he was like, that you were great. He said, I did a talk and he said, you were great. I was surprised how much you charged. And I was like, why? And he said, the guy 2 weeks ago charged 3 times as much as you. And I was like, damn it.
You undersold yourself.
Undersold myself. So that's one thing I had to learn as well. Charge for your time, charge for your services, don't undercharge, because there's so many, and no one will tell you what you should be charging. So it's a kind of a guessing game a little bit. Yes. But I always say, if you go a bit higher, and if you're not getting clients, then maybe go down a little bit lower. Mm-hmm. And it's like getting that happy medium. If you start getting clients at this price, that's the price. Mm-hmm. You don't need to go down again. And the more your profile, the bigger your profile, obviously, the bigger your network. Your network, I keep saying it, your network is your net worth. Relationships, the more your network, the bigger your network is. Like, I know that me and you are going to be connected from now on after this. And I know that maybe I can help you, you can help me. But I know that there's useful introductions that we can make for each other. And that's gold. That's powerful stuff. So even if I work with a client and I finish, let's say they do my 6-week program and they finish with me, I still keep in touch with that person. Mm-hmm. They might come back. They might refer someone to you. It's all about nurturing relationships. You can build connections on LinkedIn. Jump into the DMs, start commenting on their stuff, start helping them, maybe do a useful introduction for them. I've done it loads of times for people. I'm renowned. I'm known well for it, which is lovely that people have commented and said, like even people like that I've helped along the way. It might just be maybe I got them a speaking slot at something. Maybe some journalists contact me and I said, you need to talk to Niamh, or you need to talk to... Mm-hmm. I mean, when you do that, people remember that. Yeah. They remember when you help them. For sure. I remember who helped me at the start, Yeah.
So. And like nothing is kind of a fully selfless act. Even if you think it is in the moment, it'll always come back in one way or another. But if you do it for the right reasons. Yeah. Because some people might,
what's in it for me?
There might be a bit of an agenda. It's like, and that'll shine through. You'll be able to tell that this person is just reaching out to me. They haven't spoken to me in 6 months and they're reaching out to me now. Yeah. And I know what's coming, a favor or whatever. But it's if you're genuine and you want to connect with someone, not just but it's naturally stuff will come back for you.
Sometimes I give shout outs, sometimes I might see someone after achieving something amazing and I'll do a little post on LinkedIn. And so I'm known for it. So become known for doing it naturally, because then it's not going to look weird if you message them. Yeah. If I see someone and I say, actually, you know what, they're connected to such and such, maybe I can. So I'd message them, and it doesn't look weird if I message them because they already know me. Mm-hmm. They're already watching me. They're already commenting on my stuff. So it's powerful. It really is the best thing. I learned that from Bill Yao. Your network is your net worth, and building relationships is so important. Yeah. And doing a useful introduction every day. Sure. I think I did one for you last week. Mm-hmm. So doing a useful introduction every day, I try and do a useful introduction.
Yeah, for sure. Because some people just think they don't know the importance of these connections. Like, who am I to reach out to this person? I admire this person. I would love to someday. It's just like, send them an email. Cold outreach.
Myself and Niamh were talking about that outside, and we were saying, just ask the question. What can happen? Like, they might not respond.
And you become hardened to all of these rejections. Yeah. The more they come in, the more you're like, okay, that's fine. No worries. Let's move on. But it's the initial sting. People never want the discomfort. Their nervous system doesn't want the possibility of rejection. And I've learned that it's just part of the process. We're getting into this, especially like cold outreaching to everyone or people that I genuinely want to speak to. To be honest, it's been surprising that 95+% of people have responded. No one has flat out just rejected.
People want to help if they can. And it's like I said, the more successful they are, if they have time, it's usually down to a time thing. If they have time, they will usually be happy to help. Yep. Especially if someone's starting out and someone young like yourself, See the way I called you young there.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Appreciate that.
I'm a little Irish charm there in the Kennedy homestead.
People do. People want to help, but they also want to speak. They want to
speak about what they're passionate about. And a lot of people are charmed when someone thinks of them and they're like, oh, you thought to reach out to me.
Exactly. It's an honor. It's a compliment. Like, you know, like when you told me how you found me, I was like, that's so cool. I was delighted with that. I mean, especially with AI, I think we should mention AI because, you know, AI, a lot of people are worried about jobs. There's a lot of fear around it, but using the right way, it's very useful. But no one is going to be able to replace your aura, your smell, your mannerisms, your energy. You know, they won't be able to replace that. So this is why personal brand is so important at the moment. Like, and you know, they're never going to be able to replace. Like, I could go as a hologram to Bahrain on the stage maybe someday, but nothing's going to beat the energy of seeing them in person.
For sure, and that's exactly why I've filmed all my episodes in person so far, and I thought, oh, I could do some virtually, and I may have to in the future because just if I really have to, if it's not feasible. But as long as I can, I'm going to do all of them in person. I just think it's just that personal connection. What was it? Yeah, it's just even for the viewers, for the listeners as well. People can kind of really get engrossed in the scene and feel like they're there as well. But I like to be able to sit with people in person. I think it breaks that sort of connection when you're doing something over Zoom. Or whatever else. So,
absolutely. And, you know, I think in-person events are going to become more popular because I think you can't beat that face-to-face in-person thing. I think when it comes to sales, when it comes to business, the conferences are so important. I try and go to conferences, but I try and go to conferences where I'm the only marketing person or the only LinkedIn person in the room. So it could be a manufacturing or a, you know, biotech or medtech or whatever. It's something where I'm the only marketing person in the room. That's a little tip there for someone, because a lot of people in marketing go to marketing events.
Right.
I want to be where people need me.
You're the unicorn.
They need me.
Okay. And it could be an industry, as you said, like maybe machinery or something, where they don't really put too much credence into LinkedIn Live or into Twitter or anything else. I refuse to call it X. I think it's just silly.
Actually, just, you know what? I don't even talk about it anymore because it's just useless. It's not a good platform. Now, look, I will still go there for the latest news as it happens. It will always be the best for that. So if something happens in the world, I go straight there to X. But I am not a fan. I used to pay the subscription. I don't anymore. It's kind of, I check in now and then once a day. But not really, it's not useful for business, I feel. And that's where I have to tell my clients whether they should spend time in it or not. No, I advise them no now. And I wouldn't have said that 2 years ago.
Yeah. No, it's just things can change depending on who's running them. But again, sorry, I like to always loop back a little bit. Looping back to Funky Goddess. So when you got the inception of the idea to when you were pitching it on Dragon's Den, what was that sort of timeline? What kind of happened in between?
Probably about 6 months, a year maybe. It was hard. It was hard going because I still had no money. Do you know what I mean? I was trying to do it on a shoestring and everything was, you know, I would buy like, let's say 50 hot water bottles. There was hot water bottle in it for tummy aches. I'd buy 50 hot water bottles. I'd sell 50 packages, but I wasn't making enough of a profit. So I had them, they were selling. They were selling, but I needed to make it cheaper, you know. A lot about that kind of stuff, packaging, all that stuff. You know, look, I did it. I tried it. I sold it. So, you know, I would say it was a success. I mean, maybe potentially in a few years' time, if I become a millionaire or something, I might do it again, something similar, because I think there is a gap there still. But Lilette's have a teenage pack out now. So they kind of, and Lilette's were very good to me because they gave me the booklets to put in the gift boxes. So I did lots of relationship building, sales. You know, I was the salesperson, I was the customer service, I was doing everything. It nearly burnt me out, to be honest. So one day I was sitting by the fire with the girls and we had no more coal for the fire. We'd no more coal. And I remember sitting there thinking, I can't put the girls through this. This is not fair just because I'm driven and I'm ambitious. And so I decided, I put up on Facebook at the time, was a big platform at the time. And I said, look, on the page, I said, look, I'm actually going to sell the business if anyone's interested. And one of my customers contacted me and said she'd buy it. She just got redundancy. Okay. And so she bought it off me. But then that's when I moved on to Tweeting Goddess, and I started doing the managing Twitter accounts for companies, and I built it up then. And it was much more successful because I was making money then. I wasn't making money at all with Funky Goddess.
Okay.
It was awful.
Really?
Yeah, it was awful.
And from the moment when you were in the store and you got the idea, the spark, what was the timeline between that exact moment and then kind of getting the ball rolling with starting it?
Oh, I think it was the following week.
Oh, was it? Okay.
I'm very fast.
Right.
My sister built me a website. Like I had a chat with her. I said, I have this idea. Da, da, da. And then she built the website because Roz, she's my sister, my best friend as well. She built the website for me. She put me on Twitter. I started using Twitter, applied for Dragon's Den. I applied for any awards that were out there, that kind of thing. I just started putting myself out there. Yeah. Started going on shows. I remember one day, Colin Hayes was on 2FM and he was saying, I'm sick of all this negativity. Somebody ring in with a good news story. So I said, oh. So I rang in saying that my business was launching tonight in the Talbot Hotel. Like I did a launch and everything. I had no money. I don't know how I did it with no money. But anyway, I did this launch. But he had me on air on 2FM for like 20 minutes, which is gold. Yeah. And I started hearing bing, 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 sales coming in. And that was the day of the launch. And so that was lovely. Yeah. So I put a lot of work in with no return financially for me, but I learned a lot. Yeah. That was the return. You got a lot of priceless, I guess, life, business lessons and everything else. Because I think some people want to see monetary returns right away. I definitely didn't. Or else they think it's not worth it. It's kind of like that with me in the podcast. I haven't made any money off it. I've spent a lot of money, but I have no regrets. I've in 4 months. Yeah, but you're getting faster at setting it up and everything. You're getting better guests. You're getting Yeah, there we go. That's a clip. That's a snippet you can use now. But exactly. You're improving. You're learning. You're meeting new people. You're making new relationships, which could be even the fact that they let you do that here. That's huge. Like I was like, oh, I know someone else that might want to do a podcast here. So it's helping other people as well. Like so. Yeah. And if you get into things for the right reasons, I never got into this to make money or anything. I got into it because I really wanted to create something. And I'm going to continue to do that, even if it bankrupts me. I don't care. Eventually, I would love to do this full time because I'm really passionate about it. And keep building. Look at the entrepreneur experiment. Look at Gary. I do. Yeah. Like, I mean, like he's built that up. He's getting sponsorship now. So look, I when I was starting my business, I remember seeing the value of a community around you as well. And that's when I started the Women's Inspire Network, and I started the Social Media Summit, and I started doing events. Like I started doing all these things. I don't know. I tell you, I was very brave, really. When I look back, like that took a lot of courage, but I did it anyway. Probably didn't make much profit. But I had a community around me. I was building something that was worth, I could sell. And so I sold it. I sold the Women's Inspire Network to a company as well. I sold the Social Media Summit. So, I mean, I built communities, and then somebody wants to buy them. So if you build a brand, someone will buy it off you. Sure. There's someone out there that would like to buy it. Yeah. And at that point, that was 2 businesses that you'd sold then, the Women's Inspire Network. 3. Social Media Summit. Okay, sorry. Yeah. Oh. Social Media Summit, Funky Goddess, Women's Inspire Network, and Social Media Fest. I should be a millionaire, but no, I didn't sell them for much. I just wanted to build them and then move on. Yeah. Okay. And what was the time frame of selling all of those? Like across how many years were those all sold within? So 2016, Social Media Summit. It wasn't much. It was enough to kind of, Funky Goddess was first, then Social Media Summit, and then Women's Inspire Network. See, it wasn't much. It was enough to kind of just give me a little boost, but I kind of wanted to move on. I just mean like, the time frame, was it like within a couple of years they were all sold? Social Media Fest was last year, and then Women's Inspire Network was about 3-4 years ago. So I like to build things. Like this. I would love to build a community around this podcast. Do you know what I mean? So you could create a community. When you create community, sponsors want to get in front of communities. So I'm building a community on LinkedIn at the moment. You might have noticed, like, I have a LinkedIn newsletter, and I'm trying to build a community around me, so that's why I'm giving shout outs to some people in my community. When you build a community, brands want to get in front of that community, and they will pay you to get in front of that community. So if I do an event for my LinkedIn community, a company will want to be there and get in front of that community.
Because they see the potential, they see the people.
They will pay money to get in front of that audience. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. The Women's Inspire Network, did you piggyback that off? What was that, your second or third business?
That was for my own need for a community. It was for my own need. I had Irish Biz Party before that. Okay. I built that on Twitter. Yep. I built the Women's Inspire Network because it's funny that Niamh is here today, because myself and Niamh kind of thought of the name. We were sitting down saying we need to build a network for us, because there was no network that we really felt comfortable in. And I wanted a network that was going to give value, that was going to teach people how to do sales, was going to teach people how to use lead magnets, teach people the stuff they needed to learn. And so I started doing webinars every week. Like, it was really good. I only charged $20 a month for a membership. So I've done all that stuff now. So I know if I wanted, like, I have a mastermind group and I charge $150 a month for that. Wow. So it's different. So I've moved on. I know how to build a community, add value. If you add value, people will pay. So I've learned that. Yeah. Okay. And the LinkedIn Live, that's one of kind of your niches at the moment. Yeah, because not many people are specializing in that. I saw a gap again. I didn't actually know about the feature of LinkedIn Live until you'd be great at it. Yeah. Well, I'll interview you sometime on my LinkedIn Live. Sure. So there you go. You see? Yeah. Giving back a little bit. So, I mean, LinkedIn Live is really powerful because people can comment while you're live, so they can ask questions. And then what you can do is, with the recording, you can download the recording, get the transcript, and then you can make it into a LinkedIn newsletter, highlights from our LinkedIn Live. Okay. So it's really powerful, and nobody seems to know how to do LinkedIn Lives that I've come across. So it's a nice add-on for my clients. So if they're doing my 6-week program, I always do a LinkedIn Live with them, and then they have that forever. It's like this podcast. Like, it's good to have this. Sure. It's content. Yeah. You know? Yeah. Because I guess LinkedIn Live is just like a sub feature of the overall thing, but it probably is very powerful. And you're one of the people who's trying to kind of really unlock the power of that, or use it to its potential. Absolutely. And then I can go live on YouTube at the same time as well. So it's on my YouTube then as well. But you see, you need different experts, and like YouTube experts, totally different expert to me, for example. Like, I know my limitations. I know I probably have to hire someone to get it all correct, SEO, all of that. But surround yourself with people who can do stuff that you can't do as well. Yeah. That's another one. It's a big one. And kind of know, as you said, know your limitations, because you could burn yourself out easily to say, I'll do everything. Or sometimes you can think that you know much about something, but I know what I don't know. Yeah, which is really important, because it's good to be candid about that, to just be honest and say, these are my shortcomings. Yeah. That's fine. But I excel at spreadsheets. Yeah. Maths. Oof. Okay. God. No. Numbers. I mean, I have a girl, Julie, and she does all of that for me. She does my invoices. She does all of that. Because there's always someone that can offer that skill, even if it's close, within your family or your circle. Okay. And so there's kind of a theme with, like, there's the Women's Inspire Network, there was the Funky Goddess, and there was all these kind of gaps in terms of women, as in the Women's Inspire Network. You probably saw a gap where women couldn't really come together to lift each other up. Is that where the inspiration for that came from? Well, there's lots of women's networks out there, but I wanted one that was specifically online, that we could do webinars. So then when the pandemic hit, all of my members knew how to do a Zoom. Right. A lot of people didn't know how to use Zoom. Do you remember? People wanted to learn. Like, all of my members, like one of my clients, actually, she had already created online music classes. She's a music school. She had to close, but she was able to do online music lessons. Right. So she kept going. So she was ready for that. She was ready. Yeah, she was ready. So it's really important. Like, I wanted those women to know how to do all these things that people pay loads of money to do courses to do. I used to just get experts in that knew the stuff that I had relationship with, you see. So I have a mastermind group, and I have relationship with people who do different types of thing, and they want to get in front of my mastermind group because it's given them a little bit of practice. They're getting to meet new potential clients. It's good. So when you build relationships, like there are people I could ask to do, like I remember I had a client, they were doing LinkedIn audio at the time. LinkedIn audio was big at the time. And I remember they tried to get this person to interview them, but they kept saying, they never answered them basically. But when I asked them, they said yes. So, it's like, so I managed to get this person that was a big deal at the time in that space, onto their podcast. So like most people that work with me, they work with me because of my network as well, because they know that I can probably introduce them to someone and get on their radar when they probably tried themselves before.
And that's worth its weight in gold, is introductions to people.
Can make a big difference for someone.
Yeah, for sure. And then that can snowball into something else.
Absolutely.
That's, these big circles of elites and billionaires and all these tech guys, they all of their success is due to introducing to someone, or a handshake with someone else, or not just in that circle, but in anything. As you said, the power of,
I think, people, look, there's lots of events you can go to. Find the right network. Find the right network. There are lots of different networks, and if you can't find what you're looking for, create it yourself. And that's what I did. I couldn't find what I was looking for, so I created one myself. That's all.
And I guess you tried to do that every time when you saw a little bit of a gap. You're like, well, there's nothing. And again, that's when people can pivot to say, well, I've no business in trying to close that gap. But you just have that sort of mindset to say, let's...
Yeah, funny that, Thank you. I'm just noticing that today. And then like even the LinkedIn, personal branding on LinkedIn, like if you think about it, who is the Irish person standing out on LinkedIn at the moment? If you think about it, I want to be the top Irish person. I want to be that person.
Yeah.
I always want to be the top.
Yeah. And it's good that you've not shame, but you're not shy about saying that.
Not anymore.
And you're breaking that sort of, again, that self-deprecation, and the people saying, who's Samantha with her notions or whatever. But it's
but it helps my clients as well, because they see me doing it. So they're seeing me doing it, so they know it works.
Yeah.
And
I'm sure obviously you have a big contingent of women that are inspired and that connect with you, but people might just think, oh yeah, she's kind of niching with women. But
men. My goodness.
That's what I kind of want to just get across, is you probably have a huge contingent of men who...
Do you know what? Men have been so good to me. Tony Ennis, he's my mentor from day one when I went and did my Start Your Own Business course with him. He's Irish. And then a Billy Yao as well. And then Ronan Dunn, Stephen Kelly, he's ex-CEO of Sage. Ronan Dunn is the ex-CEO of Verizon and O2. Like these are people that just believed in me when I didn't believe in myself.
Yeah.
Colin Meagle, he's over in Dubai actually. Actually, we need to get Colin on your podcast, right? Yeah. So Colin Meagle, there's been a lot of guys out there that I've kind of not cheerleaded from afar.
Okay.
That they might not comment on my posts, but they might send me a message. Saying, keep going. Yeah. Well done. Keep going. Keep going.
Yeah.
And
was that really important to you when you were especially going through phases of imposter syndrome, doubt, when you were listening to that one of 100 people say, who are you? Was it really important to have these guys in the background?
Oh yeah, I've been able to pick up the phone and talk. It's very important to pick up the phone as well. Actually, do you know what I'd love to do? I see a gap. This is where I see a gap.
Okay.
So if anyone's watching and they want to invest in a new thing, a helpline for small business owners would be so powerful.
Okay.
Because mentally, for your mental health, it can be really tough going. It can be really tough. I mean, you're not running your own business, but I'm sure you have people who are doing it. Yep. Like it can be tough on the mental health. There's lots of downs,
massively,
lots of up and downs, and all those peaks. And 1 minute you're up, next minute you're like, oh God. There's been days where I have just sat there and thought, like, oh my God, I can't do this anymore. And like I cried and said, what am I doing? Am I ever going to make it? Am I ever going to get there? And I've been there, and loads of people I know have been there because I answer the phone to them, right? And they have cried down the phone to me. I've cried down the phone to Tony Ennis will tell you, I've walked into his office and just burst into tears, right? So, honestly, if I didn't have those people, I think if we had a helpline for small business owners, they're struggling a lot. There's a lot with the, like, restaurants. I don't know how they're still going, restaurants with the VAT and all of that. And, there's so many things. And then the rates of the shops. And I don't know how, I don't know how to make money. But anyway, they need helpline, I think, for I think that people's mental health can suffer if they don't get the right support and if they feel like they're being ignored and being put down. And the fact that we're out there, we're trying, we're not just getting the dough, we're actually getting up off our ass and we're actually going out and trying and running a business. We should be celebrated rather than, we could be just taking the dole and just do nothing.
Yeah.
But we don't want to do that. We want to do something. We have passion. We work hard. We're hardworking. We're dedicated. We're driven. So I think we deserve a helpline.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's, as you said, there's probably a gap there, and that's definitely probably something that could be done. It could be done through an app where people can sign up for a subscription, and then there's maybe independent people who can sign up as the person on the other end of the phone, and they might get some, there's...
You could take turns,
and
it's all confidential, like not like the Smartens, but something where, like, you know what, I don't know what to do, I'm in this situation, and then the person with the other end could be someone retired maybe from business and say, well, actually, this is what I did to solve that problem.
Yeah.
And that's be so powerful, wouldn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe I should do that.
Well, yeah. Kind of,
get a sponsor,
we're brainstorming here, but it's good. It's good. It gets the...
You heard it here first.
Yeah. It gets the creative, juices flowing. But no, that is like something that can be overlooked, as in you need to have people that you can make a phone call.
And trust.
Yeah, because that can be the difference between you just giving up there and then.
That's why a community is so important. To have a community around you, people who support you and that have your back and aren't going to laugh at you if you cry or think, oh, look, she's such a failure. Because we've all gone through it. So you need people around you, like a community of like-minded people who want you to do well and want you to succeed. Yeah.
Yeah, and they can pull you up. They can sometimes...
Could be just a coffee.
Yeah, and a bit of tough love to say, look, just, come out, I'll meet you for a coffee. And that to have that empathy as well. Because there's so many times where you can just be thinking, am I doing the right thing?
Am I mad?
Yeah.
Like a lot of times I thought I was mad. Like I was like, I must be mad. Why am I doing this? Like,
yeah, I know.
Why have I done an event in the Aviva with this? Oh God. I mean, I did so many events with the Women's Inspire Network and I wasn't making any profit. I just did them. But then the next one made profit. And then the next one made more profit. You had to put the work, you have to do about 5 events before you actually saw the return.
Yeah, but someone could easily give up after the first one to say, oh, well, I was under
that was a lot of work.
Yeah, I was under the impression that I would be profitable from the first one.
No.
And it's like, you don't know how many it will take to become profitable. So
you have to fill the room, you have to sell the tickets, you have to get sponsors, you have to get your sound guy, you have to get your video guy, you have to get, so much.
Yeah. And how did you kind of keep, say, when it got to the 5th one, you might have been profitable, but the other 4, what sort of conversations did you have with yourself?
Belief. I had to believe that it was going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to believe. And the next one was profitable. So it's kind of a buzz as well about doing an event. Like there's a kind of a little buzz around it. Like it's like, oh yeah, I'll do it. I always say, I'm never doing that again.
Yeah.
And then the next day, I think we'll do another one.
Yeah. And it's kind of like not knowing. It's like, what could go wrong? What could go right?
But you see, people want it. You see, the demand was there. So anytime I did an event, it would trend on Twitter. It would be trending. People would be like, oh my God, when's the next one? We would sell tickets for the next one at the one that they were at. Like we would sell tickets that day for the next one.
Wow. Okay. And
so the demand is there. People want in-person events. They want to network. They want to make connections.
Yes. And we're kind of coming a bit full circle on that because with technology and everything, it's made everything too easy to be virtual. And same with AI, and AI can create a really cool looking picture, but it's just technology can't really replicate that sort of connection or the human creativity.
The hug, even the hug we gave each other when we saw each other. You know what I mean? Even the hug and I think definitely, like, actually, I am planning on with a client of mine, an event, and I'm actually attending an event of a ex-client of mine. I'm just going to support her, even though I don't have to go, I'm going to support her because kind of helped with that. But I think when you're doing an event, events are a good place. If you want to get people in the room, you need to have speakers who are going to give value. So what if I'm going to choose a speaker, I want someone who's going to make my audience feel they've learned something that they can implement when they walk out the door. They have to be confident, entertaining maybe, and my audience give them value for their ticket. And if the audience gets value, they'll want more and they'll go to the next one,
Yeah.
They will.
Because there's a lot of these events where it's just like, oh, we'll get everyone to turn up because we have a certain name that's known, a household name, but that's it. They just show up on stage maybe for 10 minutes, just give a spiel, and then everyone's kind of like, oh, okay. But you're saying you need to look a bit deeper into the ingredients of it. It's not just about a name. That's the superficial way to...
The names don't usually... I never had to get big names. I didn't. It was actually the speakers that I knew their stuff.
Yeah.
Were the ones that were the hits.
That will kind of surprise people.
And that had the stories. Stories are very important. Storytelling is huge.
Yeah, because people relate to that.
Yeah.
Especially to their stories of like trials and tribulations and adversity and everything else.
I have a lovely story for you.
Tell me.
When I was I was doing Social Media Summit, and Social Media Summit was a huge success in 2016. And then I remember I was speaking, do you know Gary Vaynerchuk?
Yes.
I was speaking at the same event as him in Dublin. He'd come to Dublin and I was one of the speakers. I was the only female speaker on that day. And I remember I was due on stage at 2 and I was meeting this lady beforehand and had a bill of 2,400 or something, right? Which at the time was loads for me, right? And I was like fretting about it, worried about it. And here I was going on stage with Gary Vaynerchuk. So I was like getting ready for that. And then the lady I met, I burst into tears anyway. I just started crying. She was like, what's wrong? What is it? And she was a real tough businesswoman and really like, and I kind of told her, I was like, I don't know what to do. Do you know what she did? She wrote a check for 2,400 for me.
Wow. Amazing.
Yeah. Isn't that lovely?
Yeah.
And then I have another thing about the Gary Vaynerchuk thing. Like I was due a stage at 2 and there's another Twitter expert, Madeline, and she was like, the two of us would have been probably a bit ahead of me now. And I remember Al Jazeera contacted me. It was 10-year anniversary of Twitter and they contacted me to go on the air at 2:00.
Okay.
But I was speaking at 2. So I was like, damn it.
Okay.
I was like, what can I do? What'll I do? And then, so I contacted Madeline and I said, do you want to be on Al Jazeera? And I connected her and the journalist and I went on stage with Gary Vaynerchuk.
Wow.
So 2 people benefited, the journalist, Madeline, and, so everybody, But then later on, social media marketing world, Madeline was in a meeting where they mentioned, is there another Twitter expert we can get to come over? And Madeline said, Samantha. So it came back to me.
Come back around.
So things like that have happened to me, a lot of things like that.
Yeah.
And it's just because sometimes you can't be in 2 places at once. Give it to the competitor. It will come back to you because she'll be in a meeting someday where there'll be some client she doesn't want to work with that might suit me better. So I never kind of look at people as competitors.
No.
I just work with others, do collaborations, collaborate, help each other. It's so easy, really.
Yeah, it's much easier to be just nice and it's much more effort to be a bit of a...
And look, I'm no angel either, right? I'm no angel.
None of us are.
You know what? I'm no angel, but you know what? I do believe in kindness, helping others, sharing your knowledge. It was a guy called Lyndon Wood actually taught me this. Share your knowledge, assist others, and keep adding value. And people remember that. They'll stay with you then. They'll be loyal, like loyal brand advocates. And I've done it and I can show others how to do it. And that's why I'm successful.
Yeah. And I like what you said just about the whole event with Gary Vaynerchuk, because some people like to just show, oh, look, I'm on the same card, speaking card as Gary Vaynerchuk. Oh, look at me, I'm so successful. But you being candid about what was really going on.
I had no money.
Exactly. Because people in the audience will just assume, oh, anyone who's rubbing shoulders with him, they all have loads of money. But I think it's really important to actually show people a bit behind the curtain, to say that doesn't always equate to you've got other things going on, and that's fine. It's
but that was the struggle. It was a struggle, and that's mistakes I made. People I worked with, there was a lot of mistakes made around that time. And but look now, I mean, that Gary follows me on Twitter. You know what I mean? He sent me a message the day before. It's people remember you getting through it. They're like, God, is she not gone yet? She's still here. I say they're sick of me now. But you know what? I believe that I have a lot more to give still, and I have a lot more to learn as well. So
100%. Yeah, because once you kind of try to tell yourself that, I know enough now and I can just sort of...
No, I don't think we ever do.
No. As they say, that old adage, every day is a school day. But I think it's good that you're very candid and you pull back the curtain to say it's not all roses and it's not all... There's a constant struggle there.
Yeah. Well, do you know what? The struggle is less now, thank God. Yeah. But I had to work to get there. But I had to go through all that crap to get to where I am now. And a lot of people who are successful had to work through all that stuff and bounce back. I could have quit when it come to, when it changed to X last year, it was tough. It was tough going. I was thinking of getting a job, but I put a post up about it on LinkedIn. I was honest and I said, look, this is what I'm going through right now. Is anyone else? And loads of people messaged me and said, oh my God, I thought it was just me. We've had our slowest summer so far, blah, blah, blah. So it wasn't just me, but I said it, which is the main thing. But then somebody messaged me and said, do you want to meet for coffee? I've been working with them ever since, just from that post, from being honest. Okay. So just to be aware, people, everything is not all it seems when you see these glamorous people on social media or whatever. But, if you start sharing a little bit more of behind the scenes, it is a really good idea because it shows people, you know what, maybe I can do this too then.
Yeah, it's very relatable. Yeah. Because you always think, oh, am I the only one who's struggling? Why haven't I being successful? And it's like, once you start to speak to other people, everyone has their own issues. Yeah. And it's not just all this polished... on stage, loads of people, and then everyone makes up in their mind that this person must have loads of money and they mustn't have any struggles. But I think it's important to be as truthful as you can with the downside of it, because that helps people to realize, okay, well, I'm going through struggles, but they have also.
But look, I mean, I got through it and then I built my new brand, Samantha Kelly Media. And you know what? I even created the Samantha Kelly Show. I mean... I was like, what will I call my show? Okay, I'll just call it the Samantha Kelly Show. Yeah. And it's like, I haven't even really launched it yet. I'm just doing LinkedIn Lives with it at the moment. But that's something in my pocket at the side, for now, right? But because I don't have time actually. But now the clients I have now are totally different. The price I'm charging is totally different. And I just came off a 10-day cruise. I never thought I could do that. Never thought I would ever be able to do that. I never thought I'd have grandchildren that, I bought him a new bike last week. Little things. It doesn't have to be loads and loads of things. Just little things, I bought myself a Joe Malone candle. That was a big deal for me to just buy a Joe, your girlfriend loved that, by the way, and duty free, right? Yeah. A Joe Malone candle. But things like that. It's just little things. Being able to buy a nice suit, being able to get the hair done today to come to this interview, little things, and it's bit by bit, piece by piece. And I paid off things, I had debts and stuff when I was a lone parent on social welfare. I paid off my car. So bit by bit, step by step. So it's a day at a time, and that's why I'm lucky I'm in sobriety and I live a day at a time. Yeah. But just go easy on yourself. Look back and see what you've achieved so far. And see how much you've done. You'd be really surprised. Yeah, and kind of go easy on yourself. Yeah. It's not, and it's okay. Don't be afraid to kind of compliment yourself and take compliments. Own it. Own your expertise. Yeah. If you're good at what you do, own it. Don't be afraid to own it and help others. Don't forget, you could be inspiring a younger Patrick, a younger Samantha watching you. You could be inspiring them. Yeah, yeah. Wow, there's a lot to take in there, but it's very insightful. Your whole story. Obviously, we could talk for ages, but I mean, I think we're tired now. But no, it's been really enjoyable, Sam. Thank you. Likewise. And
maybe we could just have a few closing remarks. So if there's someone that's watching this and they are maybe back where you were when you were going through the divorce, when you were, when your daughter, the hard of hearing daughter, she was about to start school, is that correct?
Yeah.
There was all these things that might be driving this person to the edge of just giving up or imploding. What would be your kind of words for them now?
Okay. When I went through all those things, it was actually, what am I going to do next? That's what I was going through. But when I was going through the tough times, though, in the business and all, that's when I felt loneliest, and that's when I felt alone, right? But pick up the phone, make connections, connect with people, connect with me. Send me a message. Connect with us and help us by sharing this episode. Help us by sharing and commenting. And then if you need advice on something, plenty of resources there. Plenty, like if you're watching this and you feel like you're ready to do something, do it, try it. The worst that can happen is that it doesn't work. But then, if you don't try, you'll never know. And pick up the phone and build a community around you. Find good people like Patrick, like me, like PJ, like myself, like the other guests, and connect with them on LinkedIn and just build your ideal community around you,
Yeah. So just rely on people and don't be afraid to ask for help.
I wouldn't say rely on people.
Sorry.
People will let you down. Okay. Because it's nature. Build a community of like-minded people around you. Yeah. People you can rely on. So I just wanted to say that, because sometimes if you rely on people, they will let you down. They're human.
True. You're setting yourself up. Yeah. Sorry.
So
I mean,
definitely find people that you trust and that you feel that, and you start being kind to people. When was the last time you actually commented on something or liked something or shared one of the podcasts? We have to put a bit of effort in as well. Sure. Yeah. But you're not alone, and you're definitely not alone. And there's lots of people out there, and there's lots of good things you can get online for free to learn as well.
Be kind to yourself.
Oh yeah.
And
keep going.
And don't be afraid to ask for help, and
definitely,
and to be vulnerable. Like yourself, you've been through, some public vulnerabilities, private vulnerabilities, and the imposter syndrome, and what am I doing? But just,
and we're all mad. It's okay.
Yeah, for sure.
We're all you have to be a little bit mad to be an entrepreneur. You do. Yeah. But you're not alone, definitely. And you know what? There is help out there. There's plenty of ways you can find it online. And just, if you can't find what you're looking for, create it yourself, and don't take criticism from someone you would never go to for advice.
Perfect. That's a good note to end it on. Thank you, Sam.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Welcome.
Right.